Hey, hi guys. Good evening. How are you guys doing? Hi Khushi. Hi Neha. Hi Danish. Hey Ashwarya. Hey, hi guys. Thank you. Hey, hi. We're about to go live right now talking about a very, very important topic. I'm doing really well. Mukund, how are you doing? Hey, hi. I'm Priyanka. I'm the co-founder and CEO of PopExo, and we are going live right now to talk about mental health in these times. Hey, hi Ramneek. I am at home, so I don't need a mask, Debo. I'm in a room by myself. But I would suggest that everyone please wear a mask if you're going outside, and ideally please do double mask. Hi Nancy. Hi. Hey Poonam. Ekta, if you're here, could you see where our guest is, please? Hey, hi.
Hi,
Hey, hi. How are you doing?
good, good. How are you?
I am good. We're just waiting for a few more of our folks to join and then we can start. But till then, why don't you tell the audience who's here all about yourself and all about Anchorage?
So, I am a counseling psychologist or a therapist, whatever moniker you want to give. Anchorage Counseling Services is my private practice. Today, should we talk about what we're gonna talk about today or not yet?
Yeah, but why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Where did you start? Just so the audience knows who.
Okay. So, I've been a psychologist for 9 years, but I've started this practice only in 2017. So I've dabbled with different, industries. I worked in the HR and training department of a company, and so I've done a host of different things. I've taught in a college. I've done trainings as a freelancer, and then I finally decided that it's a good idea to start therapy, because I think that is it. Though it's one-on-one, it is more. It gives you more satisfaction.
So, are you a doctor or what do we call you?
No, I'm a psychologist. I've done a master's in counseling psychology,
Mhm.
not an MBBS, so I'm not a doctor, nor have I done a PhD.
Okay,
So
great.
either way.
But you have lots of experience.
Yes, I do. I do.
Okay, so let's we start. I wanted to start by just kind of talking about the situation that we find ourselves in. Last year when the lockdown started, all of us kind of thought in the beginning it's like an extended holiday. Ghar se kaam karenge, it'll be so much fun. We were making dalgona coffee, and then we were kind of, it felt like it'll get over really soon, right?
Yes.
And it was a different feeling last year. But this
Yes.
feels that, oh my God, what's happening? And we don't know what's happening at all in the world right now, right? And India seems to be in such a bad place. And I think mental wellness, mental health is a very important topic. All of us are finding it difficult to cope. I have anxiety. I'm
Yes.
constantly worried about my parents, and so it's just hard right now. So, what do you think? Just how should we cope? And what are you?
So, see, first of all, any other time when you say I have anxiety, we would have a conversation of how best to alleviate your anxiety, right? Anxiety is something we all try and get rid of or reduce as much as possible. Today, our anxiety and our fear is what is keeping us safe. Your anxiety reminds you to go wash your hands 15 times a day, to make sure that nothing enters the house without it being sanitized. Reminds you to have all your vitamins, and do your steam inhalation, etc. So Right now, anxiety is your normal response. It's not a disordered response right now. It is every emotion that we experience is a reaction to our environment and tells our body what to do next. So any positive emotion tells you this is a great activity, do it again. Anxiety, the message that it gives you is that we don't know what to do, so proceed with caution. And that is exactly the right response we all have to have right now, right? Now what happens when the anxiety comes in your way and it just gets overwhelming? Then all you're experiencing is anxiety, you're not thinking. Now, as I said, anxiety is a response when you don't know what to do.
Yes.
So if I decode it further, anxiety comes in the form of a question. What will happen? How will I cope with it? What, how, when, where? These are the questions. So what's very crucial is to answer the question. What happens if I get COVID? Okay, I'm going to take these medication. I'm going to call up this doctor. What can I do to prevent COVID from happening? Okay, let me go do stimulation 3 times a day instead of 2. So simple things like that. As soon as you'll notice this, when you think about your anxiety, that the anxiety is coming in the form of a question. The minute you answer that question, the minute you make a plan, automatically the intensity of the anxiety will go from 100 to 50. It won't go away, but it will become a little easier for you to think.
Yeah, so that makes sense, right? So basically, instead of just feeling generally anxious, you ask yourself, what is making you anxious right now? You try and solve that. Yeah, but when is it too much, and when should we kind of anxiety is, and as you said, ordered response. But when do you see it getting too much? Actually, go and see someone for.
So here's the thing. Now, if watching the news is making you anxious, and you keep watching it, right? And the more you watch it, the more anxious you're getting. You're not getting any answers of what to do. You're just getting anxious. Or if you're on social media and you're flipping through all the stories and all you're seeing is either lack of this or lack of that, that's causing you anxiety, then you also need to step back from what's giving you the anxiety. Right? It's really, there's a lot of people asking me this question that, where does our responsibility start and end? If you're from a privileged space, aren't you supposed to go out and help? But there has to be a balance. If that help that you're giving is causing you so much anxiety that tomorrow you won't be able to get out of bed, that also means tomorrow you won't be able to help anybody. Right? So you have to step away as much as possible. Not supposing you have someone at home who has COVID, or you get COVID yourself, and that's what's causing you anxiety. You can't step away from it physically, but you can do it mentally. You can do something fun. That's what all of us need to do. I mean, that's why I think, channels like PopXO or all these influencers that we have now in the world, their content is great because it's giving you an escape. It's just like 5 minutes of not thinking about COVID-19.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, look, that's why PopX, so we try and maintain a balance between helpful content that is helpful right now and a little bit of kind of content that's our response to COVID, which is more lighthearted. And that's why we're actually keeping both of them going. We actually had a discussion whether we should just kind of make it all information, but then we said, no, you need some relief in life right now. But tell me, when we are looking at the situation, when do you think someone should go and speak to someone like yourself or go and get help? What is the trigger for that?
So like I said, if you have anxiety, answer the question, find a plan. Now, if you're not able to do that, if the anxiety is too much that you can't sort through your thoughts out, or you can't come up with a plan, that's a good point to go and ask someone for help. A therapist, anybody qualified to help you, would be able to facilitate a more healthy way of thinking.
And how can we, what does one do? Do we Google it? Or what is the best way to try and find someone if we need that help? And there's no shame in asking for that help. I've been to a therapist multiple times, right?
It's completely, I mean, everybody at some time or the other needs a therapist. Everybody does not need a therapist always, because sometimes that's also, I have a lot of people who say, everybody needs a therapist. That's not true. That's not true always. A lot of times we can just cope ourselves, and that's always the best way. But just like when you have a cold and you take your regular medication, it doesn't go away. you do go to a doctor, right? Same way, you have a problem, you deal with it. Nahi ho pa raha, there's no harm in asking for help. There are so many resources today. I mean, honestly, you can just go on Instagram and say hashtag therapist in whichever city you're in, and you get so much options, so many options there. There's a website called indianpsychologist.com. There are apps. There's an app that has been recently released called Guftagu, where they have therapists on that, where you can just talk to them and pay by the minute. There are a lot of government organizations or NGOs working and giving you therapy for free. There are so many organizations based in Delhi, Bombay. There's a place called Sukoon, which is run by the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, by TIS. Then there's a place called I Am Wellbeing in Delhi, who are offering free therapy for people who need it right now. So
Yeah.
it's so easy.
It would be a great idea if we actually were to collate all the free therapy resources and put them out there, right? And one of the questions, interesting question that got asked here, like for substance, see, I'm not living with my parents right now. I'm actually, I'm living in London right now, but my parents are in India and in Punjab, and they both were COVID positive, right? Thankfully, they were fine, and they're fine now, but it was impossible for me to get them to do anything, right? Did you check your oxygen today? Did you take your medicine today? So how do you kind of, as a child and with elderly parents or relatives who don't listen, maybe who are far away, how can we make them understand that this is important and they have to take care of themselves?
At some point of time, we all have to accept that we have no control over anybody but ourselves. So all you can do is give all the information and leave that door open and say the minute you want information or you need help, I'm there for you. But then, just like when we don't want to do something and somebody keeps badgering us, that just kind of pushes you further and further away from doing it. It doesn't help. I mean, if someone's already dealing with COVID and they don't want to talk about it, we also have to respect them.
It's like, I mean, if they don't check the SpO2, something might happen, and then you're worried, right? And it's not, it's like, I mean, I have two children, and if they don't take the medicine, I make them take the medicine because you have to take your medicine, right? But you can't do it remotely. So what are the things you can tell them that which can convince them that, guys, you have to kind of take this more seriously than you are?
All we can do is share the statistics, the numbers are what are the most scary things right now, right? Fact right now is more scary than any fiction that we could have thought of. So all we can do is just share that information and say, okay, so and so. Honestly, at this point of time, like you're saying, last year was such a different situation. Today, there is no one who has not been affected by COVID, at least if not personally, then like one level away, right? So it's really reached, if not inside the house, and at your doorstep. So there's so many examples now of, this person ended up in hospital because they didn't keep their precautions in place. They didn't arrest it when they could. So that's all we can do.
Yeah, and another interesting question I think that that's being asked right now is, how do you deal with guilt, right? I mean, I have enormous amounts of guilt because circumstances meant that I was actually, I'm in London right now. I'm not in India, but my entire team is there. We have hundreds of people who are working in our company, and I'm seeing them deal with so much right now. My family is there, my parents are there, right? And it's just like so much guilt at the moment that, I mean, you're feeling helpless and you're feeling guilty at the same time.
How so you ask yourself, what is my responsibility in this situation? That's question number one. Question number two, what can I do about it? That's two. Three is, what do I want to do about it? And that's it. You've got your path out of there.
Yes, it's important to actually break down what you're feeling and actually try and act. I mean, I like this kind of format of why, how, right? If you can ask those questions about what you're feeling, it kind of gives you your answers out there. And yeah, so I like one of our viewers is kind of talking about Instagram, and I think it's Prachi. And whenever I open Instagram, it gives me immense anxiety, right? And because Prachi is a content creator, she runs her own makeup blog. So she has to open Instagram for work, and it's all about someone wanting things and oxygen and plasma. We have to open Instagram. I mean, the entire Popexo team opens Instagram for work. So how do you cope with so much coming at you all the time?
So you limit it. You say, okay, I'm going to open it for an hour and I'm going to deal with whatever's on it, and then I'm going to shut it down after that 1 hour. I'll put an alarm if I have to, and then after that I'm just going to leave my phone and walk away from there. Because you have to look after yourself. Now more than ever, each one of us has to be responsible for our own health, mental and physical. No one else can save us.
And what are some kind of healthy coping mechanisms or habits that we should be looking at right now that can kind of see us through this time? Because the end doesn't seem to be in sight at the moment.
Try and have fun every day, whether it is reading a book or watching trashy TV or reading blogs online. I mean, do whatever it is that makes you happy for as much time as you can. I know there are people who are doctors, for example, have no time, right? So take out 5 minutes in your day where you're having fun. If you have more time, if you have, you have the privilege of working from home and you have enough free time, then just do 8 hours of fun time.
Yeah, and also, like, for talking about work, right? A lot of us are working from home right now, or actually most of us are working from home right now. What is, as a company, firstly, like, what should we be doing to make sure that our employees our colleagues are healthy and that they're fine? And also, as a kind of someone working in a company working from home, how should they be acting right now?
So I think it's important to have structure. So have a specific space that you sit at when you're working, and then don't sit there otherwise. So you kind of designated that spot. Also, make sure that you take breaks. Now, what the best thing about working in a company is the culture and the team spirit, which, well, when you're working remotely, isn't there. So it's great when groups come together on a Zoom call and just have like 10 minutes of how's your day, or which movie did you watch in the past week, or just something completely not related to how are you feeling, because that's just putting you back in the loop. You're thinking about how you're stressed, etc. Something just completely innate, which is what you call water cooler conversation. That is so that is really the pulse of the organization on a
Yeah.
on a cultural front. And how do you replicate it? Zoom is a great way. You just do, okay, everybody in the team is going to connect on Zoom for the next 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're not actively participating, even the guy who's listening to these 10 people Twitter away, it's great. It's really fun.
Okay, that suggestion taken. I think we're definitely going to be doing that soon. And hi Boris. Boris is talking about this despair, and we spoke about that in the beginning, but I think so much is out of control. We are feeling that the government is it's almost like abdicating a responsibility in a certain way. Basic things like oxygen, right? Something that you took so much for granted actually is not there right now. You're not getting hospital beds, and if you're getting to a hospital bed, they're running out of oxygen. It just kind of a whole sense of everything is out of control and there's no solution or end in sight. I mean, despair would normally be a strong word. I would never call myself in despair, right? But right now, that's the feeling. Like, how is this? Like, it's out of your control. What are you going to do about it? How do you deal with that?
It is going to get better. We know that it is. It may, I mean, best case scenario, it takes a month and we see a much better time in June. Worst case, it takes more than that. But we know we are going to get out of here. We don't know how many more people we're going to lose, and we don't know how much more strife and struggle we're going to go through. So from now, what we can do, what is in our control, is to make sure that we look after ourselves, right? Because no one can stop you from taking the supplement or checking your oxygen or whatever. So just look after yourself. B, try your best to help it not come inside the house. I mean, just try. Do stuff like I do stuff like I haven't in a while, but in fact I was just thinking about it today. I go and wipe my lift buttons once a day. Basically, it's just you have to ask yourself, what can I do about it? What is in my control? And then I fixate on that and I just do that, because the reality is that we're in a horrible situation. There's no way to come up with a positive angle on this, right? You can't spin it anyway. This is what it is. It's the worst case scenario is happening right now to all of us. So we just have to find a way to survive. That's what I've been telling a lot of people who ask me, Tanvi, how to be productive, how to be efficient. And I'm like, no, you have no reason to be productive right now. All you need to do is get through your day. Just survive. Do the bare minimum. And if you have energy for more, then do that. But that's it. Your goal has to be surviving.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And also, like, because you're hearing so many kind of tragedies right now, and all of us kind of know kind of close friends or family who have passed. And I mean, what do you say to someone when something like that happens? And apart from saying I'm sorry, like, how can you help them cope? What should we be doing? What should we not be doing at that time?
all you can do is be there for that person in whatever way they need you to be there. So just all you have to do is say, and that's the case with any grief, right? Not only in COVID, but anytime, all you can do when someone's lost someone is say, I'm here for you. What can I do to help you? And then let them tell you, because you can't. There's no way that you can take away that pain. They have to go through it. They have lost someone.
Yeah, but like yesterday, one of my best friends, her brother is not well, and he was in hospital, and we were all looking for plasma. And I just realized that I was almost trying to reach her to make myself feel better, and it was not what she wanted at the time. And then I stepped back when I realized that. But half the time we're kind of doing things is because just by doing something you feel better. I went kind of berserk on Instagram trying to ask for plasma at that point because it felt so out of control, right? So how can we kind of recognize that, and how can we stop that from happening when we're actually putting the burden of our fear upon the person who's suffering the grief at the moment?
Well, you have to, again, you have to be very aware of your thought process. So you have to ask yourself, why am I doing this activity? Now, if the answer is because I'm trying to help so and so, then you have to ask yourself, is this the help that they require right now? Or is this the help that they've asked for right now? Now, you have to understand there's this one person in your life who is grieving. You'll also have 10 other people who are not. So all of your what you need to get somewhere else at that point of time, not from this person. This person needs to be given their space and be respected and be allowed to just deal with what they're dealing with.
Yeah, and just kind of talking about processing, right? And if God forbid, if something kind of happens to you very closely, and how do you cope? I mean, if say you were to talk to someone who is the survivor of a tragedy in their family because of COVID, what do you tell them?
Honestly, it's the same with any other grief, apart from the fact that this is their grief is being shared by a lot of people, and it is something where it's not just a disease that took the person away, but also really bad management of what's happening around, right? And it's the same thing. I mean, I know somebody who has who's lost both parents. One parent was in one hospital, the other one was in another hospital, and both parents have passed away within a couple of hours of each other. And he's just like, I mean, I've become an orphan within 24 hours, and but that's the thing. At this point of time, all he needs to focus on is what does he need to do today. So that day he had to go get them cremated. The next day he had to figure out the next step, and that's all you can do. Just get through the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's just hard, right? Just kind of, I mean, no long-term plans. You're just literally living in the moment and trying to survive the moment right now. I think that is, even
Yeah.
I mean, as a company, right? Like we have goals and targets and numbers and all of that. At some point, they were important, but right now we really feel that the people are more important at the moment, right? And what can we do to kind of help each other?
Yeah.
Ask. I'm just a few questions. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Tanvi, before we kind of sign off? We're coming to almost close to the end of the hour. What else would you like to tell our audience about this?
I mean, I just want to reiterate that really look after yourself mentally, physically, emotionally. Just be there for yourself. Even if no one else is there for you, just be your best person for yourself. Look after yourself and have fun as much as you can. And yeah, just focus on surviving. Don't hold yourself accountable to really high goals, because it's not in your control right now.
Yeah,
That's all.
it's this kind of aspect of taking care of themselves, right? And also, like, let's just talk for 2 minutes about quarantining, right? Like this whole aspect of having to lock yourself away for 14 days or more, away from everyone, and not being able to see anyone, not having that human contact, that human touch. How do you kind of deal with that?
So honestly, most of us all have access to internet, right? And that's just if you have a smartphone, then just if you are craving human contact, you can do a video call with someone. But here's my take on this. If you don't have severe symptoms, I would like to look at this as a gift of time. Everything else has been taken away from you, but you've been given 15 days or 14 days of time. And you can read books or do a course or just do all that stuff that I mean, just like clear out your cupboard, or just if you're too exhausted for anything, then just really like watch those serials that you wanted to watch. We all have a long list of stuff that we always keep for jab time milega, now is the time to do that. And that's the case for even if you're not quarantining because you're unwell, but if you're just stuck at home and you have time is a gift that usually you never get. We're always short of time.
That's a great, I mean, that's a good perspective, right? It is kind of looking at it from a different angle. Instead of seeing this as a locked-in, use it as something to do with yourself and for yourself at that point. Another thing is about children, right? Like I have 2 children. My son is 15, my daughter is 10. And I have friends who are very young kids who've only known COVID. They're 3, 4 years old, and this is their reality. How do you talk to children about this, and what do you say to them?
So again, now it's very different from a 3-year-old to a 15-year-old. I feel the worst about kids who are, in 13 to 19 category, because this is the time they're supposed to be outside and playing. And this year, even they are being affected. So you can't let them go out. So you have to find ways and activities. It's very tough being a parent. Well, it's always tough being a parent, I think, but right now it's more challenging in the COVID sense because you have to come up with activities for them to do at home. So get them involved with physical activity, because you have to understand at that age there's a lot of energy in their bodies, and if it's not coming out, it's just gonna fester inside. So I have some friends who do some really fun stuff with their kids. They get them to help in cleaning the house, or basically just get them really involved. So I went to a friend's place. She has a 9-year-old, and I found this little 9-year-old. She was doing pota in her room with one of those big tall rooms. So I thought that was a really fun thing to do, but really keep them
Tell them
involved.
about COVID, and I mean,
Yeah. Honesty is the best policy. I always believe that with kids. Depending on what age they are, you have to give them only that much information. But it's always good to not lie to your kid. Omit, but do not lie. So tell them what's happening. Tell them how you're dealing with it. Because also, what happens is with kids, you can't just tell them about a problem. You have to tell them how it's being dealt with. Otherwise, kids tend to take it on themselves. They feel responsible to solve the problem. So it's very important to tell your kids, okay, this is what's happening outside and this is how we're dealing with it. It's a foolproof plan and nothing to worry about. Whereas your younger kids, the 3-year-olds, again, my heart goes out to them because this is the time when they are doing the most important part of their socialization, which is going to play group and, just interacting with kids, which is very, very crucial to personality development. Because otherwise they've just spent all their lives, those 3 years, with adults. So you have to find an online play group for your kid. Even it's amazing. I'm so impressed with educators today. They've come up with some really fabulous ways to get kids involved on an online screen, which I would have 2 years ago thought was impossible, but it is possible.
No, absolutely. See, all of us have found new things of coping that we never thought we'd have to do. And this kind of extended lockdown that we are in is kind of, it's reality for now. I think it's just kind of accepting and doing the best you can is the best that we can do at the moment. I wanted to thank you so much for your time, for kind of coming and speaking to us and speaking to our audience. Really appreciate that what you and all the other caregivers are giving at different levels. And thank you so much. For our audience, I wish you all well. Please stay safe, stay home, wash your hands, sanitize, and try and do something fun for yourself, as Tanvi says, right? That's kind of the most important thing that we can do is take care of yourself so you can take care of others. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And hopefully we see better times.
Yes. Look forward to that. I look forward to better times for all of us.
For all of us. Please stay safe, take care, and thank you. Bye, guys.